Well, Aaron, lots of people showed up to the meeting today in response to Supervisor John Phillips's referral to do that economic impact report. Now, there was a large group of local people who work for gas companies in South County who are really asking the Board of Supervisors to do this fiscal report. And then on the other side, there were people in favor of this measure to ban fracking who don't want that financial report done.
How then can we expect the people who live, work, and vote in the county to make an informed decision without all of the facts? This is why we need the study.
Urging the supervisors to vote for an economic impact report, one by one, South County Gas Company employees stepped up to the podium.
I'm asking the board to do a financial impact evaluation so that we understand the impact to the county.
I think for the voters to understand the real impacts of the ballot measure, the impacts would be the loss of millions of dollars in tax revenue, and I think that should be considered.
On the other side, people in favor of the ballot measure to ban fracking and further oil exploration in Monterey County are against an economic impact report. They say if the supervisors decide on a fiscal impact report, it won't be neutral and may be swayed towards the oil company's agenda.
Generally, it's been part of the tactic of the oil industry is to get official reports done by the counties that basically say their message. What we found is that these reports rarely reflect reality.
They also say that fracking harms the environment and that concern outweighs the possible decrease in tax revenue or profit for the oil companies.
I understand we all need to survive, we all need to make a living. However, this mantra of jobs, jobs, jobs does not do us service as a whole when we're destroying the very environment that we live in.
They also argued that their measure is not meant to stop current oil operations in Monterey County. It's just meant to prevent fracking and stop the growth and further development of more oil fields.
As far as we can tell, our initiative doesn't affect financials at all, because they get to operate with what they've got right now.
For now, the decision is being pushed to July 12th, but two supervisors, John Phillips and Simone Salinas, are already pledging their allegiance to an economic impact report.
I think the more information the voters have in terms of what is the impact of this proposition. Now, if it were a simple yes or no on fracking, I think it's clear. We're not doing fracking here, so yes or no. But the impact here is what goes beyond that. And that's what I think the auditor, who's an elected official, can do an analysis and present it to the voters.
Now, the people who are against doing that economic impact report are also kind of going on the offensive today against Supervisor Phillips, accusing him of favoring oil companies because his foundation, Rancho Cielo, has received donations from Chevron in the past. Now, when I spoke with Supervisor Phillips about this earlier, he told me he is not on the board of directors of that foundation anymore, that this is not a conflict of interest for him in this matter. Aaron?
All right, Brent, thank you. So to give you a little perspective on things, from 2014 to 2015, oil and gas taxes generated roughly $8.5 million in Monterey County.